7th grade 4.3, we're going to talk about equivalent fractions on page 176. So if you'd open up your books to page 176, there's a lot of vocabulary here. Fraction is when a number is written in the form A over B. A is the numerator and B is the denominator. Number on the bottom, number on the top. So equivalent fractions are fractions that represent the same part to whole relationship. And that is, this is, the top number is the number of parts. The numerator tells you the number of parts. The denominator is the whole. Okay, so like if I say I'm going to give you half of the candy bar, it means I'm going to split the whole thing into two pieces and give you one of them. And then that would be other equivalent fractions for a half, for example, could be something like 4/8, 3/6. All of those equal a half. Simplest form then means to take a fraction and write it in its simplest form is when there is nothing that can go in the numerator and the denominator. For example, 4/8 is not in simplest form because what can go into 4 and into 8? 4 can, and it goes in there 1 in the top, 2 in the bottom, 1/2. So it's not in simplest form. If it's needs to be simplified, that means there is a number that can divide evenly into the numerator and the denominator. And you'll notice I put a little number out here to remind me which number I'm dividing by. So let's go to the examples. Example number 1, identifying equivalent fractions. There are 10 fish in an aquarium. 2 of them are goldfish. If the fish in the aquarium are arranged in the diagram below, what fraction of the fish in the aquarium are goldfish? So part to whole, how many parts are gold? 2. Out of how many whole fish? 10. That is not in simplest form because what can go into 2 and 10? 2, 1/5. So the fraction of fish in the aquarium that are goldfish is 1/5. 2/10 and 1/5 are equivalent fractions because they represent the same part to whole relationship. And there they are, writing it just like we did. And it's reduced. Okay? So example number 2, write 2 fractions that are equivalent to 6/8. To find equivalent fractions, you multiply or divide the numerator and the denominator by the same non-zero number. Because if you are multiplying or dividing by 1, the value of the fraction does not change. So if you look at 6/8, I need a fraction equal to 6/8. We can either go bigger or we can go lower. Let's first go lower. First off, is there something that you can divide both of these by to make them lower? 2. 2 goes into 6 and 2 goes into 8. So that would be 3/4. So 6/8 is equal to 3/4. Or we can go the other way. Instead of dividing, multiply everything, both of these by 2. 12/16. 6/8, multiply it by 3. That would be 18/24. So 18/24, 12/16, 3/4 are all equivalent to 6/8. That means if I multiplied these by 2, it would go back up to 6/8. If I reduced these, it would go to 6/8. If I reduce these, it could go to 6/8. That's it. And it said only write 2, we wrote 3. 6/8, so they multiplied it by 3 to get the 18/24, or they divided it by 2 to get the 3/4. And you can multiply or divide, it doesn't matter, whichever way to get them. So guided practice groceries. 2 eggs in a carton of a dozen are cracked. Write the equivalent fractions that represent the fraction of eggs that are cracked. So 2 out of a dozen would be 2/12. And that reduces by dividing by 2, which would be 1/6. So there's our, write 2 equivalent fractions that represent, oh, I didn't write another one. 2/12 was the original. So then I also could multiply by 3. They just took this times 3. We could have taken 1/6, that is equal to 1/6 also. So just as long as they equal 1/6, then you have it. Write the fraction in simplest form. So you look at it and you say, hey, what can go into 8 and into 28? Well, the best to pick the greatest common factor. What's the biggest number that can go into 8 and 28? I think it's 4. So then that would be 2/7. 4 goes into 8 twice. 4 goes into 28 7 times. Let's say you don't pick 4. Let's say you only pick 2. That's okay, but you need to recognize then 2 goes into 8 4 times. 2 goes into 28 14 times. You need to recognize, hey, I'm not done. I need to do it again, because 2 can go into 4 twice and 2 can go into 14 7 times. So it's okay if you don't pick the biggest, but then look, it gives you just more steps in simplifying. So 2/7. 8/15 again. Let's see, what can go into 8 and into 15? Write the fraction in simplest form. I don't think they did all of the guided practice, did they? I'm going to go back just a second. Guided practice, they only did the one. Well, we'll see. We'll pick it up. We'll see if they did it after we do example number 3, maybe example number 4. Sometimes they're out of order. This one, nothing can go into 18 and 15, so it is already in simplest form, so there's nothing we can do. Okay, example number 4, at a basketball game, the home team has made 14 out of 22 free throw attempts. The visiting team has made 10 out of 25 free throw attempts. Write fractions for the number of free throws made by each team. Are the fractions equivalent? Okay, 14 out of 22 and 10 out of 25. Well, let's reduce them. 2 can go into this. It would be 7/11, 7 out of 11. And 5 can go into this. That would be 2 out of 5. Is 7/11 and 2/5 equivalent? No, they're not equal to each other. They're reducing it. They reduce a little differently than I do, excuse me. And they say they're not equivalent. All right, let's go back. Before we do this, let's go back to the guided practice number 2. Okay, go up to the top. It says, write 2 fractions are equivalent to 1/6. So just multiply by 2, that'd be 2/12, and go back and multiply it by 3, that would be 3/18. That was number 2. Okay, number 3, 3/10, and I'm just going to multiply them by 2 and 3. Multiply the top by 2, that'd be 6, and the bottom by 2. Then multiply the top by 3 and the bottom by 3. That's all they want you to do. Equivalent fractions. 8/18. Multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. The top by 3 and the bottom by 3. I don't know what 18 times 3 is. 54. Okay, and number 5, 30/45. This time I think I'm going to go the other way. Let's divide them by 5. That would be 6/9. And we could divide that by 3. That would be 2/3. It would be easier to go backwards on that one. All right, write the fraction in simplest form. What can go into 12 and 16? 4. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 16 4 times. So the simplest form would be 3/4. Ooh, 5 can go into both of those. So that would be 3/7. I'm just taking 5 into 15, 5 into 35. Again, knowing my facts really helps right here. Oh, sorry, I didn't see number 8 over there. Let me erase all of that. Okay, 7/28. 7 can go into both. 7 goes into 7 once. 7 goes into 28 4 times. 1/4. 14/34. Well, I guess I'm just going to do 2. As I see that one right away, that'd be 7. Half of 34 is 17. I think that's as far as it goes. Yep. What if, in example 4, suppose the home team made 6 out of 15 free throw attempts, and the visiting team made 8 out of 20 free throw attempts? Are the fraction equivalent? So 6 out of 15 would be 6 over 15. 8 out of 20. Let's see, 6/15, we could divide that by 3, that'd be 2/5. This we can divide by 4, that would be 2/5. Yes? And explain. Right here, when we reduced, they are the same. Same values. There we go. Oh, here, look, I already did this with you guys. Sometimes that guided practice gets mixed up. Okay, we did these together, so they're already in your work. So equivalent fractions. Remember to reduce in simplest form, and you'll be good to go. We'll talk to you later. Bye.